The year is 2025, the bustling San Ysidro border crossing between Tijuana and San Diego. Jasmine Mooney, a 35-year-old Canadian entrepreneur, steps out of a car clutching a folder of documents. She joins the throngs of people, all seeking entry into the United States. Little does she know, this routine border crossing is about to turn into her worst nightmare. This isn't just another line, it's a threshold to a legal and emotional abyss. Jasmine, with her infectious energy and optimistic spirit, believes in the American dream. She's built a successful business selling health products and is eager to expand her market. She's crossed the border numerous times before, but this time, something feels different. The air is thick with apprehension, and the faces of the border agents seem etched with an unusual severity. Jasmine's journey began almost a year earlier, in the spring of 2024, at the Blaine, Washington border crossing. She'd been denied a work visa due to a seemingly minor technicality, a missing employer letterhead. Undeterred, she navigated the bureaucratic maze, finally securing a visa in San Diego in April 2024. She was back on track, her dream within reach, but her relief was short-lived. In November 2024, her visa was abruptly revoked. The reason? Border officials had discovered that one of her products contained hemp, a legal gray area in the ever-shifting landscape of U.S. customs regulations. Jasmine was devastated, but not defeated. She consulted with an immigration lawyer, meticulously addressing the hemp issue, and prepared to reapply for her visa. Her lawyer, however, issued a stark warning. The political climate had changed. The new Trump administration had enacted stricter immigration policies, and the Mexican border was a potential minefield. Despite the risks, Jasmine felt she had no choice. She had to fight for her business, her future. March 3, 2025, arrived with a mix of hope and anxiety. Jasmine, armed with her meticulously compiled documents, approached the immigration officer at the San Ysidro crossing. She presented her case, her voice trembling slightly. The officer, his face impassive, reviewed her paperwork. Time seemed to stretch into an eternity. Finally he spoke. "Your visa has been approved." Relief washed over Jasmine. She had cleared the hurdle, or so she thought. As she moved to rejoin the flow of people, another officer stopped her. He informed her that her visa, while initially approved, was now flagged for further review. She was escorted to a sterile, brightly lit room, her heart pounding in her chest. This was not the routine secondary inspection she'd anticipated. This was the beginning of her detention. The hours stretched into days as Jasmine found herself trapped in a bureaucratic nightmare. She was shuffled between holding cells, each one colder and more impersonal than the last. The concrete walls seemed to close in, suffocating her with their starkness. Sleep was a luxury, stolen in short bursts on hard benches or thin, scratchy mattresses. The food was barely edible and the air hung heavy with the stench of sweat, fear, and despair. Jasmine was allowed one phone call. She desperately reached out to her family in Canada, her voice choked with tears as she relayed her ordeal. They were shocked, heartbroken, and powerless to help. Her lawyer, though equally stunned, sprang into action, filing petitions and contacting authorities. But the wheels of justice, it seemed, turned at a glacial pace. Section 5. Inside the belly of the beast. Jasmine's initial detention center was just the first stop in a harrowing journey through the American immigration detention system. She was transferred to the notorious Otay Mesa Detention Center, a sprawling complex that felt more like a prison than a holding facility. Here, the harsh reality of her situation truly set in. She was stripped of her identity, reduced to a number among hundreds of other detainees, each one with their own story of desperation and fear. The days bled into an indistinguishable blur of monotony and despair. The guards, some indifferent, others openly hostile, controlled every aspect of their lives. The constant surveillance, the lack of privacy, the ever-present threat of violence. It all took a toll on Jasmine's spirit. She witnessed firsthand the human cost of America's broken immigration system. Section 6. Faces of Despair. Stories from Within. Within the confines of Otay Mesa, Jasmine found herself surrounded by a diverse group of detainees, men, women, and even children, all caught in the web of immigration enforcement. There was Maria, a young mother from El Salvador separated from her children at the border, her eyes filled with a haunting sadness. And there was Ahmed, a Syrian refugee who had risked everything to escape the horrors of war, only to find himself trapped in another kind of prison. Each story she heard chipped away at her hope, revealing the human cost of America's broken immigration system. These weren't criminals, they were mothers, fathers, children, dreamers, all seeking a better life. Jasmine, despite her own ordeal, found strength in their shared humanity. She listened to their stories, offering words of comfort and support, determined to not let their voices be silenced. Section 7, Shifting San's Immigration Policy Under Scrutiny. Jasmine's case, while extreme, was not an isolated incident. Her lawyer informed her of a growing trend of Canadians being detained at the U.S. border, caught in the crosshairs of the Trump administration's Securing Our Borders executive order. This executive order, signed on January 21, 2025, granted border officials sweeping powers to detain and deport anyone deemed to be in violation of immigration law, regardless of their nationality or previous record. What was once a relatively straightforward process for Canadians entering the U.S. had become a minefield of legal ambiguity and bureaucratic overreach. The chilling effect of these policies was undeniable, creating a climate of fear and uncertainty among Canadians who once viewed the border as a mere formality. Section 8, Freedom's Echo, a voice for the detained. After 11 agonizing days, Jasmine was finally released. The charges against her, flimsy at best, were dropped, and she was free to return to Canada. But the experience had irrevocably changed her. She emerged from detention, not as a victim but as a survivor, her voice trembling with a newfound resolve. She refused to be silenced by the trauma she had endured. Jasmine's story, amplified by social media and news outlets, became a rallying cry for change. She shared her harrowing experience in interviews, her voice shaking with anger and frustration as she recounted the injustices she had witnessed. She became a fierce advocate for immigration reform, demanding accountability from those in power. Section 9, The Long Road Ahead, Jasmine's Legacy. Jasmine's ordeal shone a light on the human cost of America's broken immigration system. Her story, a stark reminder of the fragility of freedom and the importance of due process, resonated with people across borders and political divides. Her case became a catalyst for change, sparking protests and igniting debates about the ethical and legal implications of the Trump administration's immigration policies. While Jasmine's nightmare eventually ended, her fight for justice continues. Her story serves as a powerful reminder that the fight for human rights is an ongoing battle, one that requires constant vigilance and unwavering courage. Her voice, once silenced within the cold walls of detention, now echoes with the power of thousands, demanding a more just and compassionate world. Thanks for stopping by today, Hot Reels. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give it a like. Your support helps us bring you more amazing content. Stay connected with us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Pinterest, and Threads for the latest updates and trending reels. Subscribe now and be part of the fun.